Nearly every single market is in a state of free fall right now, and cryptocurrency is no exception to this. But what people truly don't understand is just how many times Bitcoin has been in a very similar situation to this one, and how it's always recovered before. So today what I want to do is show you the path to recovery for not only Bitcoin, but for all of crypto, in 4 different separate times throughout history that Bitcoin has not only had a very similar situation to the one that we're in right now, but in fact how it's made it through far worse ones over the course of its history. So if that sounds interesting, make sure you guys stick around because I want to break down the honest truth of where Bitcoin's at. And while it can have more downside potential, I want to give you some reassurance in saying that the crypto markets will almost certainly recover and show you just a little bit of evidence as to how they've recovered in the past here. So what we're going to do is actually have to zoom out on this daily time scale to something more like a monthly and fully understand again what kind of market conditions has Bitcoin been able to endure and what has it been able to recover from, because there have been multiple different times where Bitcoin has fallen over 80% to the downside. And if we zoom out and look at what we're looking at right now, while it does certainly look like Bitcoin is down a lot, it's really not that bad in the grand scheme of things. I mean, just last year, Bitcoin fell from nearly 65,000 all the way down to around 28,000. And this was about a 55 to 56% drop. And right now what we saw is a new top of Bitcoin around 69,000. And we actually just hit a new low today of around 29,000. And so what this represented was about a 58% drop. But over the course of Bitcoin's history, this is really just kind of a small blimp on the chart, really in comparison to everything else that's happened. So what I want to first do is zoom out and show you what happened in probably the most notable and the most obvious of these different runs being 2018. Now in 2018, I'm sure at least half of you were around during this time. But this was a very significant run that we're going to be taking a look at in just a second. But I want to start all the way from the beginning here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out and we're going to go way back to like 2012 and show you just when these crazy market cycles started happening on Bitcoin. And it was really just a matter of time before we had another one. So I'm going to have to really zoom in over here. But the first thing that we see is that all the way back in August of 2012, Bitcoin saw, after hitting a brand new high of, guess what, $16.50, it fell almost 57% to the downside after hitting this parabolic new high. It fell down nearly 56, 57%, but at the end of the day, it still recovered. And if you're looking at what we're down right now, we're down about 57% as well. But this wasn't the end of the Bitcoin run as we know it. Obviously, Bitcoin recovered, it had some consolidation, and after this sharp pullback in the markets, which seemed to be doom and gloom for Bitcoin at this given time of everyone saying, this is it for Bitcoin. It has topped out at $16.50. Guess what? The markets recovered. As we zoom out, this parabolic run that it had was completely overshadowed by what happened next. Now we're going to zoom out and we're going to fast forward just a little bit later over to 2013. And in 2013, Bitcoin had another historic and absolutely monumental run from that $16 mark crashing down to $7. And then it topped out at a new high of almost $300 before crashing back down around 82 to 83%, back down from $300 to nearly $45. So we saw an 82, almost 83% crash in Bitcoin after one of the biggest, if not the biggest bull rally of this time. And once again, people called that this was the end of Bitcoin. It had topped out, crypto was a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme, and that was it. But as we know, the story didn't end there. And as the markets continued, we had our ups and downs. Crypto pulled back, we consolidated some more. But after this very sharp bear market and just a little bit of consolidation, the crypto markets continued back upwards. So what happened after this? Well, we're going to fast forward over to the later part of 2013 and even moving into 2014. And guess what? Crypto had another parabolic rally. And we rose all the way from crashing at $45 after hitting $300. And then this time we rose all the way up to $1,000, around $1,150 in fact. Now following this, Bitcoin crashed over 67% to the downside. It had lots of ups, lots of downs. And once again, people were saying, okay, this is a four-figure earner for our four-figure Bitcoin right here. It's over $1,000. That is the highest that it will ever go because that number is so astronomically crazy. That's as far as it's going to get over here. I mean, this thing really can't get any bigger than that. But what happened next? It's the same story. Bitcoin saw its ups and downs. It saw sharp pullback. It saw all sorts of kinds of FUD and regulation news and everything else that could be thrown at the wall to crash it. And it recovered from this area after dropping over 67%. We saw a little bit consolidation. We saw these ups and downs. We even saw lower lows beyond this point. So if we want to measure this out and see the true low of what Bitcoin hit over here, again, it dropped from that previous high of almost 1150 all the way down 86%, almost 87% to $154 after being valued at over $1,100. But was that the end for Bitcoin? Obviously not. The story continues and we're here today and we're still up so much from there. But what this looked like, as astronomical and as massive as this was, it was an absolute historic time to be in crypto. But guess what? If we were to zoom out on this chart, as we can see, these previous runs that looked so large at the time now look nothing but a speck on this chart. And as we zoom out, even this most recent run is nothing and absolutely pales in comparison to when we're going to look at something like 2018. In fact, we can barely even see that this is on the chart when comparing it next to 2018. Now, Bitcoin recovered from that $1,000 area all the way up to nearly $20,000. And after reaching this area, it fell all the way back down even further than this, from nearly $20,000 to almost $3,000. And what this was, or I guess what resulted in this, was a near 84% drop in the price of Bitcoin. Now, this was the bear market that a lot of you remember. This is the one that seasoned a lot of veterans that were just starting to get into crypto and its mainstream adoption. But this shook a lot of people out. The amount of people that were calling for Bitcoin to be dead and cryptocurrency to be over in this space was higher than it had ever been before. There was something like, there was just so many different Bitcoin predictions saying it was going to $1, it was going to $100, it was going to $1,000, and it never hit any of those. In fact, Bitcoin didn't end here. We had our ups and downs, as I say, for all of these previous runs, but at the end of the day, when we look at this, which absolutely pales everything else in comparison over here, guess what? Even this run is completely paled in comparison to what happened next. Because in 2021, we had another monumental run in crypto. And as we compare these side by side, again, this is nothing but a speck in comparison to what we saw next. So as crypto rose from nearly $4,000 and $3,000 all the way up to $65,000, $67,000, $69,000, we're now at where we're at today. And guess what? Bitcoin is pulling back once again. And as of right now, we're down around 56, 57%, somewhere around that range. And the truth is, this could get a little bit worse. But you have to be reassured in the history of Bitcoin and what is going on behind the scenes. We cover all of the positive news that's happening across the world of blockchain tech, and there is stuff still coming out. There was just 700 million plus investments into different blockchains, and there is more than 3,000 Bitcoin ATMs that have been installed this year. All other sorts of news like countries adopting Bitcoin as legal tender for the first time is getting released, and there's multiple different countries considering that. There are even places inside of the United States like New York and Miami having a war over who is going to be the crypto capital of the world and doing everything in their power to make sure that Bitcoin is a center part of their city. And these are financial leaders when we're talking about the grand scheme of things. New York City, Miami, Silicon Valley, three of the largest, most pro-Bitcoin places in the world, are also some of the largest financial leaders. And so what I think that this is this presents a golden opportunity for so many people. And people never want to buy when something is falling. They always feel safer for whatever reason in buying into something when it's at all-time highs or trending towards all-time highs. And for whatever reason, that makes them feel more comfortable because they're in an uptrend. But what they always fail to see, what most people fail to see, is the true opportunity that crypto and other assets have as they continue to fall. And so right now we can see Bitcoin's at a pivotal support level, right? I mean, if this breaks, crypto could head down further. I mean, we've seen 80% numerous times in the past. So could we fall 80% this time? And the short answer is yes, that's possible. Now, is it probable? That's a separate question. But with what's happening on the crypto chart right now, we have to look at all the times that we've been in this almost exact same scenario before and how we recovered, because just as easily as we can fall, we can also rise. And we've seen that through all of those parabolic rallies that I just showed you. Now, I say this because while you can invest in a lot of different cryptos and make decent money, at the end of the day, really centering yourself around a strong community and around the right projects is a very important thing of this. It's a very important part of this because, and I'm going to rag on a couple of projects here, and I know I'm going to get some hate for it, but if you were to look at a couple of other projects that never hit all-time highs, and we're looking at this, I mean, a rally that dwarfed that of 2018, right? I mean, significantly larger. I mean, we went to nearly 20,000 to nearly 70,000. And there was a lot of altcoins that never saw new all-time highs. And there was a lot of altcoins that saw 10x, 100x, 1000x gains. And I think surrounding yourself by the correct people and the correct community is an important part of this. And there's these really hyped up communities that get you on all sorts of different trash cryptos. And a lot of those cryptos never saw new all-time highs in here. And so things like XRP and Tron and a couple of others never saw new all-time highs despite having the largest rally in cryptocurrency history, with it becoming a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And so, again, don't mean to offend anybody who was in those, but you probably had the wrong people telling you what cryptos were important to you. And so, you know, this is the big reason why I'm partnered up and part of the Crypt Nation crew, is because back in 2020, when we were looking at the absolute bottom of the market, Crypt Nation was talking about things like Atom and BNB and just a number of different cryptos that we have listed over here. I had a couple more on the list that we actually were just talking about the other day, but we had Ocean, Atom, BNB, and so many others that did thousands and thousands of percent. I mean, if we were to go and look at the Atom chart and Atom USD and take a look at what it did in 2020 and where it was at, and this actually goes all the way back here. I mean, at this time in 2020, when we were publishing saying that this is part of our model portfolio, Atom was at like $1 to $2. And after it was done, it ran up to nearly 46. So that would have been like, I mean, what is the gain on this? We can do a risk versus reward ratio, but this was something like nearly 3,000%. And the same was with Ocean and BNB. I mean, these things did ridiculous multi-1,000% gains. And so the reason I say this is because I love what I do and what my other fellow analysts do over at Crypt Nation. And it's very important in times like this to surround yourself with the right people, because this is the time where you need to know what cryptocurrencies are trash, which ones can make it in the long term, and which ones, you know, might need to be stay away from. And, you know, fortunately, we don't talk about things like TRX or XRP. And again, those were two of the things that never hit new all-time highs. And there was a reason why we are more fond of other projects for long-term scalability purposes. And while these coins do change, and again, having things like Ocean and Atom and BNB back on the model portfolio of 2020, that doesn't mean that they're still on there today. Because guess what? They did multiple thousands of percent to the upside. And now, 2-3 years later, there's other coins that have that same kind of potential. And so Again, I don't want to kind of beat a dead horse here, but I love the Crypt Nation crew. I love everything that we are able to do over there, and I think it's a great community. So if you're interested in that, I'll have a link to that in the description down below. But the main point that I'm trying to make here is that it's important to surround yourself with the right projects, and don't believe something just because some guy on the internet told you to do it, because nothing I say is legal, financial, or tax advice in any way. And there's a whole bunch of other YouTubers a lot like me, and you know, we like to talk about all sorts of different things. And so do your own research, but also get yourself plugged in with a community that you can trust, one that you can interact with, and one that's not going to just spoon-fed you information and say, believe it because I told you so. So I encourage everyone to do their own due diligence and research here. But this is what we're looking at in the span of crypto. And I want to, again, highlight back out here, back to Bitcoin, and show you just what this large-scale time looks like. Because in the grand scheme of things over here, crypto has always prevailed. We have recovered from these kinds of rallies in the past, and I believe that we will continue to recover here. And this looks doom and gloom, and Bitcoin looks like it's crashing, and everything's happening with Terra Luna and UST, and it's a scary time, and I get that. But this is where I am creating game plans and learning more about blockchain tech. And these are the scenarios and the reassurance that I want to give everyone that I have been through this multiple times before. Many of you have probably been through this multiple times before. While it doesn't ever not get scary, this does get me equally as excited, because I know the money that I made last time in 2018 was life-changing. And the money that I have the potential to make this time around, and again, the potential to make it, because you have to act on that, and you also have to, I guess things have to go back up. So there is a potential there. Potential risk, but also potential for very big reward. But the potential that I can make in this bull run and the next one that could follow this is really exciting to me. And so that's where I'm sitting at. Again, crypto's at a big support now. Could it fall further? Yes. Could it also recover way past our current all-time highs? The answer is also yes there. So hopefully you did find this video helpful and useful and reassuring at looking just a little bit of technicals, but also understanding the fundamentals of being in the right place at the right time and understanding what crypto has been through before, in this case, specifically Bitcoin. But if you do have any questions, again, feel free to shoot those and drop those in the comment section down below. Definitely consider subscribing to the channel and maybe sending this to a friend that needs to hear this as well. And if you want to join the Crypt Nation crew, there's a link to that in the description down below as well, where me and other analysts are talking about this stuff every single day, providing lots of different open resources and portfolios and learning materials. But you also get access directly to me and the rest of the Crypt Nation crew as well. So thank you all for watching. I will look forward to seeing you in Friday's video. But until then, have a great day and stay safe out there.